How's it going everyone, it's me Vivi and welcome to another Ratchet Clank related video. So this time, why not discuss Full Frontal Assault and All for One just a little bit. What was the deal with those two games? Why were they so different? All for One introduced us to co-op multiplayer, up to 4 players on screen, which included Nefarious, who was the villain in the series like twice. And I think Nefarious has caught a lot of people's attention. Okay, technically speaking, co-op already existed in the Ratchet & Clank series. We had Deadlocked, but that one was split screen. As for All for One, co-op is the main aspect of the game. You can even play co-op online. Full Frontal Assault, it was tower defense, what James Stevenson called competitive. Why did so many people hate these two games? I personally do not hate them, but I find them to be the weakest in the series. These games, honestly, they can be skipped. If you were to introduce Ratchet & Clank to a newcomer, let's say talk about the order of the games, what would you tell them? Anyways, I'm not gonna get too much into detail, I'm gonna leave that for another video, but I just wanted to give like a small teaser. But anyways, were these two games bad? Looking at it from a general perspective, they were okay. Full Frontal Assault had a passing mark, 6.4 on 10 on average. I did enjoy Full Frontal Assault, to be completely honest with you. I spent countless hours playing online, glitch hunting, I remember that, just messaging everyone, playing hours and hours on end. It was fun. Back on their old website, I had created this old thread going over the toughest players encountered. I don't know if that rings a bell for those of you who are familiar with their old website, but yeah, eventually that thread got taken down because the discussion went towards glitches, so they locked it. It was sad to see them lock the thread. It was so active, a lot of people talking every single day, but anyways, it is what it is, right? Now, All for One had a score between 7 to 8 on 10 on average. It's okay. Now, if we compare it to Full Frontal Assault, I would say Full Frontal Assault is the worst. Tower defense? We went from classic Ratchet & Clank to pretty much competition, we can say. Now, the major change everyone noticed when they first saw the trailer were the models. The first time I saw Ratchet's model, I was shocked, because we had gone from a Cracking Times model, which is still my favorite, still to this day, to this. Why? According to Insomniac Games, they were experimenting with the series. Sales-wise, All for One was good. The first year, it sold over 700,000 copies. As for Full Frontal Assault, not so much. It was bad. Not even 100,000 copies were sold within the first year. But I'm thinking Sony thought, hey, seeing as how all of their other games sold, we should give Insomniac Games another chance. Okay, but what about Sly Cooper? Sly 4 didn't sell that well compared to the other games. If the other games sold well, why doesn't Sony just give Sanzaru the chance? Are they doubting the team? Who knows at this point, but Sly Cooper is not the point of the video. So why did Into the Nexus happen after? Because Sony simply allowed them. It's their IP at the end of the day. Into the Nexus, according to Stevenson, was much larger, which I have to agree on. In terms of variety, I do agree. Into the Nexus has some old roots attached to it. We just wish it were longer. Now back to the whole experiment with Full Frontal Assault and All for One. Here's what Stevenson explained before the release of Into the Nexus. We are proud of All for One and Full Frontal Assault. Anytime you work on a series like this, you need time to experiment and try new stuff. We think All for One is a killer family game and gets lots of fan mail for it, and Full Frontal Assault had great competitive. But that said, we've been coming up with lots of great ideas for a classic Ratchet game in the last few years. It's really fun to work on one again. I completely understand. Insomniac Games loves Ratchet & Clank. They wanted to try new things to make it less, should I even be using this word, repetitive? Okay, but why change the models? A Cracking Times model was perfect. I guess for that type of game, Full Frontal Assault and All for One, they thought, hey, what's the point? The games are so different, so why should we spend the time and animate it just like a Cracking Time? Even if these two games were completely different from the classic Ratchet & Clank formula, why did they decide to downgrade the model? I guess that was part of their experimentation. I mean, look at these two, it's a complete downgrade. We went from an all grown-up Ratchet, which pretty much showed how we matured throughout the series, to this more kiddie-looking model, which disappointed me a lot. I don't know the exact budget for these two games, I have absolutely no idea, but was it less? They tried to experiment, yes, but what about the budget? Was it the same? Are we talking about the same amount of people working on these two games? Look, in 2011, they were brainstorming Sunset Overdrive. which was exclusive to Microsoft. That's another project, so we can say that the team was split when All for One was happening. All for One got released in 2011, Full Frontal Assault 2012, and then we got into the Nexus in 2013. Were the releases too close to each other? Not exactly. Well, yes, a year between the releases, it's pretty short, but hear me out, knowing Insomniac Games, it's part of their reputation. They've done this before for the PS2 games, starting from 2002, and those games were great, even if they were released in small time frames. The thing with Insomniac Games today, they rebranded their company, they changed their logo to represent that the team has evolved. It expanded. They're no longer exclusive to Ratchet Clank. Marvel's Spider-Man is a great example. These days, the team is split. Maybe a small portion of the team is starting to think about the next Ratchet Clank. We don't really know that, but it's possible. Ratchet Clank PS4, for example, it's not a terrible game. Gameplay is awesome. Story, not so much. They spent 10 months on that game, which is impressive, but at the same time, I'm just sitting here and wondering, what if they had spent more time? The game could have been a lot better. But like I've said 50 times, the game was a product of the movie, so I just leave it at that and focus on what comes next. We don't have Ratchet & Clank the Movie 2, a sequel, so at this point Insomniac Games has a lot more freedom, but at the same time something worries me. Seeing as how the team has expanded and focuses on other projects, will Ratchet & Clank be the same? Will they be able to go back to their old roots? Cause back then we had this huge team on Ratchet & Clank. Perhaps they were only focused on Ratchet & Clank, seeing as how we got PS2 games starting from 2002 consecutively. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the PS4 game, the polishing phase. Insomniac Games had explained that there was only a small team, a very small team, like just a few people. And why? Because the team was focused on other projects at that time. So what I'm hoping for is, once Marvel's Spider-Man gets released on the PS4, I hope that a bigger team works on Ratchet & Clank, and I hope they take their time. 2 years of development, I think, would be a great idea for a full-fledged Ratchet & Clank game. They need to bring it back, and I'm sure they're capable of doing so. They just need the right amount of resources and time, and with a lot of fan feedback these days, they can do it. So guys, I'm gonna leave you with that. So as usual, if you have thoughts or anything like that, leave everything in the comment section below. And I usually don't say this, but if you guys want to see more Ratchet & Clank content, theories and stuff like that, maybe you'd like to subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell icon so we get notifications every time I upload. So yeah, I guess that's that. Until next time, and thanks for watching.